Hello, welcome to the podcast, and I'm your host, Liar, and today we're going to be talking about the fourth fucking dimension, because we're not on assembly kind of podcast that'll start off with something soft. We're not going to even talk about music, which is usually what I plan on talking about, but the fourth dimension. This episode is brought to you by my 8th grade self, because I found a notebook recently, and it has, a ton of thoughts. There's 20 fucking pages on this. It's about time travel, the fourth dimension, the whole 9 yards. And it's weird because it's like a 37-page journal, which I did in 3 days. Like, what the fuck, me? Which is, that's kind of my writing style, doing 3 days of just laying it out. But anyways, back to the fourth dimension. Now, common conception or misconception, however you view it, is that the fourth dimension is time, and this comes from the H.G. Wells story, Time Machine, which you move forward, you move backwards, and he sees the Murdochs, the furry people, whatever. This fourth dimension is time, and that's because usually with the machine you move in three spatial dimensions. There's a forward, backwards, left and right, up and down, which you could take as length, width, and depth. The fourth dimension is time, and there's that viewpoint, and then there's a viewpoint that the fourth dimension is spatial, because scientists say that there's up to 13 spatial dimensions that we can't observe, but they just end up folding into themselves, which I'm not completely clear on what that's supposed to mean. But I imagine it's like a Fibonacci sequence, but like in reverse. If you're starting from the biggest part, you usually start from the smallest, don't you? And with that, we'll get to the spatial part later. Now, the way I'd like to view the fourth dimension is with coordinates, where there's the x, y, z, and then t coordinates. And imagine all of space and time as a coordinate plane. First, imagine like every position in the universe is defined by x, y, and z. Like Applebee's is a certain coordinate, and then Mars is a different one. And then add in t, where it's like Applebee's while you're eating steaklets or whatever. I've never been to Applebee's. While you're eating apples or bees or whatever, versus changing the t variable while your ancestor, or you're not your ancestor, your descendant is on Mars, fucking eating apples and bees on a Martian Applebee's because we've colonized it or whatever. Or like it's like if you change the x value or the x, y, and z value, change the distance, but the z, imagine they're not the z, but the t. The t, it's all of space and time, or not all of space, but all of time, and that's where you're transitioning. Where instead of like if you've ever seen Doctor Who, David Tennant's explanation is time isn't just a linear line; it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff, and that all of time exists. Like it's like Pedro Paramo, where there's no now, there's no later, it's all one concrete formed universe. Where and if you don't know the story of Pedro Paramo, it's a great novel, you gotta read it. This man goes to Kamala to find his father, Pedro Paramo, for his mother's dying wish, and it just gets freaking from there. It's a beautiful read. But the entire novel take place in like it's in this concrete set, because the story isn't linear. It jumps from place to place to place to place, and that's kind of how the fourth dimension works in my mind, where it's not that it's time is just it's already been done. Time is just a way that is just a measurement that humans have the same as feet, or kilometers, or liters, or whatever, or stones if you're. I don't know who still uses stones as a pretty ridiculous form of measurement, but that's just another human form. But in the same way that even though we have ways to measure kilometers, X and Y and Z are still their own coordinates, and T is also its own coordinates. Just because we can measure the distance, doesn't mean anything, doesn't mean jack. We're just along for the ride. So imagine, instead of time moving linearly, we're the ones moving linearly along time, that we're beings that move in this way. And time, we're just transitioning through all these slides, through all these coordinates of X, Y, and Z, of us being in this certain moment of time. Wait, do this. Freeze your body. So then you're at a certain coordinate of X, Y, and Z, and then just watch yourself. You're going through T. You're transitioning each second. This T is the only variable changing, and that's what I mean. And if you were to go backwards, or if you were to be able to view the entire timeline, the entire graph, you'd be able to see every single moment in your life laid out. Every single X, Y, and Z coordinate of your life laid out. Now, there's a different way of viewing this, that the fourth dimension is just another spatial dimension, and it's just a way we can't perceive it. And Carl Sagan does a great explanation of this. You should look it up. I might link it. I don't know. I'm not going to say that I am, because, you know, if you've dealt with me and my workings, for fuck's sake, if you've seen my goddamn Wattpad, you would know that I am very unreliable with I have just 6 unfinished stories, 6 or 7, that I just haven't had bothered to finish. But so, anyways, Carl Sagan explained the fourth dimension. Look it up if it's not linked in the comments. But if it is, go watch that video. It's fantastic. And well, basically what he surmises is, okay, there was a novel written in, I think it was 1800s, called Flatland. It's about these tiny little people, and what they are is they're two-dimensional figures, triangles, circles, whatever, and they do not have a concept of the third dimension. And it's just about them existing in the second dimension. So they're looking around. The houses have no roofs because they have no concept of roofs. There's just circles, and they're just closed figures, or open figures, until they close the door. And the Carl Sagan describes it is that they're moving around. They can't see any. They have no concept of third dimension. And then, so Mr. Triangle is talking to his friends and decides to go home, closes the door, and he's alone. And then this fourth dimension figure is watching. He's like, this guy seems interesting. I'll try to talk to him. He's like, sup? And Mr. Triangle's like, what the fuck is going on? What is that voice? So he decides to ignore him because obviously this is fucking insane. But I'm going to say apple because that's what Carl Sagan uses. The apple's just like, oh, god damn it, fucking listen to me. So he decides to come down and see him. But since he can only see in the fourth dimension, Mr. Triangle only sees cross sections of the apple. It only sees Mr. Apple slowly appearing in cross sections along the at this point Carl Sagan is cutting apple. He's only seeing cross sections appear in front of him. So he's like, holy shit, I'm seeing voices. I'm seeing this figure appear in front of me. I must be saying things like, oh shit, I'm either crazy or there's a ghost. Oh my god. So Mr. Apple gets frustrated. He's like, oh fuck this, I'll just fucking show him. So he goes underneath him and he BAM! Punks him up. and he goes flying up, and he starts floating out. He's like, ho, 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 holy shit. And if you don't, you can't see my hand right now, but it's like swinging back and forth. But, so he's floating out, and he lands in, Town Square. So all his friends are like, holy fuck, you just appeared, Mr. Triangle. And he's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, it's like I was moving backwards, but towards you guys. You guys were, and he doesn't even have the language. He doesn't even have the language to express what he just experienced. It would take everyone in his community experiencing what he just did, the action of falling, the third directional movement, to understand what just happened. They're going to burn him to death. He's going to be burned at the stake. Just imagine Mr. Triangle screaming, "I'm not a witch," as they light him on fire, and he just burns to death. Because he experienced the third dimension, because that's not a thing to them. They don't even have a word to describe it. They don't know that it's a thing. So unless you experience the fourth dimension, you have no clue. I'm not using this to take note on the second dimension. I'm using the relation between the second and the third dimension to express the relation between the third and the fourth. What I'm saying is that the fourth dimension, the reason we can't express it, we will never be able to observe it, we'll never be able to really deduce it or express it, is because we don't have a word for it. We don't even have the language. Said, like at the end of 1984, how they say that Ingsoc, reason Ingsoc will prevail, English socialism, the big party, the big brother, the party, will prevail, is because with Newspeak, they're taking out all the words. I'm going to come back to that. I'm going to write this down right now. Newspeak. I'm going to come back to it later in the podcast. Oh, that is such a tangent. I love 1984. I used to carry it around, whenever I was a freshman in high school. I would carry it around in my jacket pocket. I used to wear this fucking denim jacket. Oh my god, it was ugly. I still had it, and it still got a button on it. But it was funny because denim doesn't go with anything other than denim, and denim doesn't go with denim because that's a fucking Canadian tuxedo, as my professors call it. Back to the fourth dimension. We will never be able to express it because we don't have the language. None of us have experienced it, and until you experience the fourth dimension, you won't have any idea of being able to conceptualize it, because we can only think in 3 dimensions, just like the Flatlanders can only think in 2. So there's just no way we can even theorize about it. I guess there's math showing, there is math showing what the fourth dimension would behave like, but that doesn't mean shit, because we can't express it, we can't understand it, we can't conceptualize it. There's this game, I think it's Matsito, I don't know. Just look up fourth dimensional game. I'll put a link in the description. There's this game that explores the fourth dimension, where you can move through the first, second, third, and fourth dimensions to be able to go around obstacles and whatnot. I'm not sure if it's come out. It's about 4 AM, so that's why I'm yawning. So yeah, I don't know why I'm so hyper. I might have an urge to drink. I want to stay up till my girlfriend. But so what I've gathered from this is, I think that from the analogy of Mr. Triangle, his experience with Mr. Apple, ghosts are actually fourth dimensional beings. And like a lot of people think that whenever you die, okay, think about this. If you don't know what the astral plane is, you can either Google it or just listen to my explanation. The astral plane is it's like where dreams live. It's like where everything lives. it's to me, the astral plane, that is the fourth dimension. Like you've heard of interdimensional travel, that's the fourth dimension, because that's like the astral plane is like where all thought happens. Is where if you can astral travel, you can see works of fiction, you can see endless landscapes of everything. Like that's where thought is created. Now this is my personal belief. This is my religious belief. The astral plane is like it's like the internet, except for all existence. It's like existential internet. That is the internet of reality. There we go. That's the analogy. And ghosts are fourth-dimensional beings. And it'll say that whenever you die, you go to the astral plane and you become a fourth-dimensional being. Or maybe you don't. Or maybe ghosts are just not even dead people. Maybe ghosts are just fourth-dimensional beings. And what happens is, whenever they flow through your world, they're like, hey you. Then you see them, and they're like doing. That's just cross sections, and you're just seeing 3D cross sections, and they're just. And it appears that they're just appearing in your home, or their voices from nowhere, because you can't understand the fourth dimension. You can't see them. You can't see the fourth dimension, and that's why we have ghosts. Is because they're just fourth dimensional beings. They're trying to make contact, but our stupid little human brains can only conceptualize 3 dimensions. So we only see 3-dimensional cross sections of them. So that's what we think of as ghosts, is these cross sections of these 4th-dimensional beings trying to contact us. Wow, that sentence sounds absolutely bonkers. But you know. Now, okay. Now I've written down Newspeak, so I want to get back to that. Because in 1984, if you haven't read it, it's a fantastic novel. One of my ex-friends, I guess, is what you call her, if we don't talk anymore, if we had a falling out. Oh, please tell me that Audacity did not. This is complete bias. Oh, shit, has it been recording this entire time? That's pretty good. Oh, it's really good. I guess. Oh, 1984, fantastic novel. And if you've already read it, go back and listen to the entire confrontation with O'Brien at the very end. Not the very end, but everything, the entire conversation with O'Brien is just packed full of great things. And if you write some things you want to talk about in the comments, I'll go over them, whatever, in another episode. But Newspeak, I think it's the appendix or the exalogue. Oh, I don't remember the name of it. Whatever it is, the last part of 1984 is about Newspeak. And Newspeak. Oh, excuse me. Newspeak. Oh, Newspeak is the language. I'm going to talk about Rick and Morty later. Rick and Morty, who I have written down. I like Rick and Morty. But Newspeak is the language in 1984. It's created by the party to try and thin the dictionary. And what happens is, they replace, and what ends up happening is they replace words like forced labor camp with fun camp. Because forced labor camp, you're forced to think about the fact that it's terrible, and whenever you say forced labor camp, you think about it as forced labor. It's terrible. It's something. This is atrocity. It's this governmental oppression. But if you say fun camp, even though it means the same thing basically, you don't think about it. You're like, oh, Davey is at fun camp. And the point is that you don't think about it. And then there's duck speak, which is like quacking like a duck, flapping my arms like a duck right now, quacking like a duck. So it can either mean A, if you're for the person, they're just flirting out the party line, they're towing the company line, they're saying things that they should be saying, that they should want to be saying. That's good. While if you're talking about an opponent, they're just shouting out bullshit. They're just fucking throwing out this useless phrases. And that's a form of doublespeak. And I love the concept of doublespeak, where you say one thing while you mean another, and so, and then there's doublethink, which I actually practice sometimes, which is the fact that while you're thinking about things, you're thinking about other things, which sounds complicated because there's a thought police, which if you think like, oh, Big Brother should Big Brother should suck a bag of dicks, then if that's how you feel, then you can't think that, because the thought police will be like, oh, you're a fucking rebel. I'm going to kill you. You're going to go to room 101. But what you do is you think about something different, or you convince yourself. It's like if you think that Big Brother should suck a bag of dicks, but what you make your brain think is, I love Big Brother. Convince yourself that that's wrong. It's basically reprogramming yourself, and I think it's fantastic. And what I do is, whenever I have a bad memory, or I have a bad experience, or I have a bad thought, I think, that's not right. I'm going to just fuck it. That's my brain. I'll do what I want with my memories, with my thoughts, with my emotions. I just reprogram it. And okay, so back to Newspeak, back to the ending of 1984. It says that George Orwell says that with Newspeak, people aren't able to organize freedom clauses. They aren't able to organize anti-Big Brother because there's no word for freedom. There's no words that can be construed to mean against Big Brother, which is a terrifying thought, that this regime could get so powerful that you literally cannot express yourself against it, where everything you say is construed to mean that you're for Big Brother. But which I've seen multiple claims against this, because the idea that humans will prevail, that's always a theme. Humanity will prevail. That's always been a theme in literature and film and whatnot, that humanity will prevail, which is kind of a ridiculous thing, because we're so gung-ho and sure of ourselves that, don't get me wrong, we're tough bastards to kill, because no matter how bad the world gets, we're fine. I think that if there was a nuclear war, I'm pretty confident that humanity would be able to come back from that, because at least a 50%. I give them the benefit of the doubt, 50% chance that humanity wouldn't survive, or that humanity would survive a nuclear holocaust. And by the way, in case I've offended you, because I realize that people use the word Holocaust kind of lightheartedly, which takes away the meaning of the word. Because it's a way to describe the genocide of the Jewish people in World War II, which should not be taken lightly. It was a horrible atrocity. 6 million people died, and for fuck all reason. Because what? Because they need a scapegoat? Because Hitler didn't like the Jews? And I've never understood that. Why? What the purpose of anti-Semitism? What does the world have against the Jews? I actually saw not a podcast, but a YouTube account, Spirit Science. That was whenever I was in my New Age phase. If you're wondering, I'm currently pagan. They said that it was unfair that the Hebrews were subjected to such harsh treatment, because they were actually space aliens and they weren't of this world. It's very interesting. If you get a chance, maybe check that out. I'm not going to put a link in the description, because, like I said, it's kind of fringy, but I did enjoy it. They did have a lot of interesting ideas and stuff. It's just that whenever they started talking about creation and like history, I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because apparently the Bermuda Triangle has a Mancala in it, which causes all this stuff to happen. But I am getting way off topic. Back to Newspeak. The idea that humanity will not be able to prevail because whatever you say will be misconstrued to mean that you're for Big Brother. But the problem here is that there's this thing called body language, where you, where regardless of how you act or regardless of what you say, it's your tone and your body language and all that shite that makes it. Because if I say let's take a dog for an example. If I say, "Oh, you're a good boy," then he's like, "Oh yay, I'm a good boy." He's very happy. Dogs are happy. If I say, "Oh, you're a bad boy," he goes, "Oh fuck, I'm a bad boy," and he's very sad. But if I go, "You're a good boy," and I say it with a mean accent or a mean tone, he goes, "Oh, I'm a bad boy." So, oh, because dogs don't know language, they don't know that I'm saying I'm a good boy. If I say, "Oh, you're a bad boy, aren't you? Aren't you?" The dog will be like, "Oh fuck, I'm a good boy. They saying that something good." Because dogs don't respond to language, they respond to tone. And same with humans. It's not, I mean, language does have an effect, but tone has an effect on the language. It applies connotation, it applies different ways that you would think about the way that they're saying whatever. And it's like, hold on a second. So, what I was trying to say is that dogs are like language. It depends on the tone. Like, if I were to say, I'm going to write this down for a future one. Profanity. Profanity. Yes, I will go into that later. Okay, so with Newspeak, I think that people would be able to tell, like, if you're like, I love Big Brother, I think that you were able to swing it, maybe. It's like, I love Big Brother, and like, thumbs down, like, no, fuck, people would be able to get what you're trying to get at. So that's a criticism I've heard about Newspeak. Although for me, whenever I read that chapter the first time, it was just absolutely terrifying. It was the scariest part of novel because it was this idea that there would be no hope. This regime would have absolute power forever because there'd just be no way to even convene a force against him, to even speak out. And the scary thing about it is, we have regimes like that, not to the point of Newspeak and Thought Police and all that, but a regime to the point where if you speak out against it, Russia or many of the Middle East or China, or there's a lot of countries. Just we'll leave it at that. I don't want to include anyone who doesn't fit the bill. That might be offensive. Although if they do and they're still offended, then well, they're dictatorships, so they can suck it up. And well, we do have countries like that where if you speak out against the government, a black van will find you, they'll take you away, they'll kill you, your family, or like if you're in the Middle East and you help the American soldiers with translating or whatever, like translators are run an extreme risk, which is why it's so messed up that they don't. By the way, those links that I said I was going to put in the description, I'm not. I don't. This is the next day. I have no clue what I was talking about, and I'm not listening to 30 minutes of me rambling just to fucking find some sort of link to put in the description. Google's a thing. Just open a new browser If you're on Google Chrome, just type it in. If you're not, then go download Google Chrome and just type it in the web address. This is a great browser. But I'm getting off track. It's a terrifying thing that those countries do exist, where they will snuff out any insurrection with force, and that's a beautiful thing about the internet, because like in North Korea, they used to think that North Korea was like this amazing thing, but they're starting to get media, radios, and all these things being smuggled across the border, which is punishable by death. And they're starting to say that life outside is so much better. So, personally, I think that there's like a revolution brewing in North Korea. It's going to be it's going to be a while, but they're going to topple that regime. I'm fairly confident that life will find a way if you've seen Jurassic Park. Okay, so on to profanity. Profanity is the last topic in our podcast. Oh, it's 30 minutes, for fuck's sake. God, how are you hanging on for this long? This is terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself. God damn. Right, so profanity. Profanity is, if you notice, I swear a lot. Because it's just the way I talk, is the way my dad talk, the way I talk. You know? Father like son. And it's a way of expression. Where it adds a little flavour to sentences. And so the way I see profanity is like hot sauce. Some people like a lot of hot sauce, some people don't like it at all. Some people only like a little, and some people just can't handle it. So, if I think people should be entitled to use as much hot sauce, as much profanity as they want, but if I'm sharing a dish with someone who just can't stand hot sauce, I'm not going to smother it in hot sauce. I'm just going to refrain. I'm going to refrain myself. And people who are against profanity, it's weird because they think that the problem is the words. It's just sounds. And it's I just don't understand, because saying screw you is not better than fuck you. You might be offended by the word fuck, but it's saying fuck you is a lot less damaging than saying that no one loves you, because the second one is a lot more specific, it's a lot more hurtful, because it's saying that your entire existence is invalidating a person. So it's not that we need to get rid of people saying fuck you on the highway, not fuck you on the highway, I mean fuck you on the highway, you know, road rage and whatnot, is that, and replace it with them saying screw you or get bent. What we need to do is stop the negative feelings. This is like we were talking about before. With a dog, it doesn't matter how you talk, it doesn't matter what you say, it's the tone. And that's the same way with people. If you say something, it doesn't matter the words, there's an underlying message behind its problem. Because if you're worried about people getting their feelings hurt, then don't say screw you or fuck you or whatever. But changing the wording doesn't do a damn thing. And for like, holy shit. Okay, so say replacing with saying holy cow or Santa Vaca is what, if you see the Penn and Teller video, one of the women talk about that. Their father was Hispanic, and we would say Santa Vaca, holy cow, Saint Cow, and replacing sacrilege of one religion for the sacrilege against another. Oh, it's fine because it's not yours. No, then just, if you think that it's bad to say something against a god, then don't fucking do it. Regardless if it's yours or not. Just We don't need 10 commandments. We need one. Just don't be a dick. And people don't understand that. Like, I'm just those out there. I'm not Christian. I'm pagan, and it's funny because uh, Christians is. It seems like some people they know they pick and choose what they want to believe. Like they say that yeah, marriage is wrong because in the Bible it says it's an abomination, but in the same book it says that eating shrimp and pork is an abomination, which we all know that we're not going to stop doing that because it's fucking delicious. And so eating that is, fine because that's what we want to do. Or it's like how Jesus says the most important commandments are, I believe it's to love your God and love thy neighbor. Correct me if I'm wrong, but beyond that, it just falls into that, you know? Don't murder, well that's love thy neighbor. If you love someone, you're not going to kill them. Well, I'm going to write down the idea of assisted suicide. We might go into that. The fuck is happening in this podcast? We start out with the fourth dimension, we go into suicide. The fuck? And, well, okay. So, don't steal. Don't covet thy neighbor's ox. It just falls under love thy neighbor. Although I guess, saying your neighbor's thing and being like, oh, I want that. Well, I don't. It's not really being. It's really not unloving your neighbor. I honestly don't see what's the problem with well, jealousy is bad. Just feeling jealousy, but desire is a completely different thing. Because being like, oh, you can't believe he has that ox. It's so sleek and beautiful. Oh, I just want it so badly. Wow, it sounds like he's okay in this situation. I guess he's trying to fuck the ox, whatever. But if it's just like, oh, that's a nice ox, I would like it. I'm just hearing that phrase and just wondering what I'm doing in life. Then I think that's fine because that's, a goal. But in a perfect world, you wouldn't have that situation. You would just be able to be like, hey, I'd like an ox like that, and someone would be like, okay, let's get you an ox like that. Let's figure it out. But let's not get on a tangent about communism or whatever, because that might be a topic for a different podcast. Oh, okay, so profanity, I think that it's like, I think profanity's fine. I think desire's fine. And yeah, and let's move on to the topic of assisted suicide. This was a big debate in the 90s, I believe, with Jack Kevorkian. And apparently there's a movie out about him called You Don't Know Jack, which I think is a fucking excellent title. And basically what Dr. Kevorkian had was this suicide machine. It's euthanization, it's assisted suicide. Some people say it's murder, but if the person wants to die, and like if you're terminally ill, is that your choice? And this is a difficult question because okay, suicide is the only crime that you can be charged for attempting, not charged for committing, because duh. Oh, and if you're in that, I'm against it. Just so you know, if someone killing themselves, very bad. No. But if it's like the word it's kind of muddied for me is okay, so the person's dying. They're it's like have you ever seen Dexter? There's a scene where this woman, she's dying. She got you know a year to live, and she's like, I just feel pain. All I want is one more slice of key lime pie, and then just die. So Dexter poisoned her with key lime pie. Spoiler alert. Very sorry about that. Yeah, and I think that that's where it's kind of a gray area because there's the issue of, well, what if the doctor decides, hey, we make more money if they were just fucking dead? Then the hospital could just euthanize them. But that's kind of a ridiculous argument because yeah, I mean yeah, they're taking up space, but these are people that spend their livelihoods wanting to take care of people. I don't think they support uh, killing someone just to save a few bucks. That seems like something the chief of staff are doing. And if you haven't noticed, yes, I'm basing all of my knowledge about medicine and doctors off of scrubs. So I don't, I don't think know how valid that would be. But if that person is in a bunch of pain and there's no way to cure them, and they only have a few days or weeks to live, then maybe that's their choice. But maybe not. There's a man I heard about who, whenever he was 20, the doctors told him he only had a few months to live. He just celebrated his. I mean, whenever I read this article, he was just celebrating, I think, his 90th birthday, and he tried to contact the doctors who said he was going to die. They were all dead. He outlasted them. So, bravo to him. But so maybe if he had just decided, go through with it, he wouldn't have gotten to live that life of just, living. Because errors do happen in doctors' offices, and it's pretty scary. And yeah. So, okay, sadly, we've run out of time. So I'm not going to talk about Rick and Morty this episode. I might have to prepare some because there's a lot there, but it's not like a lot you can just scroll up on the top of your head. So join us next week, I guess. So I might do this every other week or for whenever next time I post a podcast. Yeah, just have fun. I'm not good with the goodbyes. Goodbye. Okay.